I thought we'd have a fireside chat as Revelation 12. I've got a video of 22 minutes uploading, taking an eternity, but it's beauty in the timing. That's followed up by another video, which will probably take a while as well. Well done, buddy, for lapping up water in the background at this moment. Does it faze me? No, not one bit. I've been told, I haven't watched this, but I've been told that James True has done a video in which he talks about, or a live show that talks about the role of the lion and how it keeps nature in balance. If we turn to the world of documentaries and things, there's some very good wildlife programs, safaris and things. And regardless of what the actual scene is, it's often commentated how spectacular the camera work is and what's captured. See, the fundamental difference between the greatest painting, the greatest piece of art, is the living picture. And art, of course, is subjective, so if the part of the painting you're looking at is a lion mauling a deer or something, there's no accident I picked the word deer rather than antelope, because of the 4 F's, the fight, flight, freeze or fawn. Fawn is also a young deer, but in this reality it's an oh deer. It's getting rid of something that's actually going to improve the state of the health of the entire herd. It's keeping things in balance, basically. I've said before, James True is controversial, which is the perfect place to be, because there is a verse, there's a script being offered externally from most sources that is one that leads to it's the path of self-destruction. You can't shortcut any of this, you have to experience it, but you want to know the answers, but without the experience, when you're given something like this, that's a piece of information that takes you into an area where you feel uncomfortable, without having the experience, you want to jump back into the comfortable again, and you won't make any progress. It's all part of the design of all of this. It's exactly how it's meant to be. It's all about a trimming of the vine, is another expression of it. It's a testing ground, but let's look at the word nature. Let's break it down with etymology. So the N, think of like on a heart monitor, what you see a pulse that goes up, and then because it's linear time, it drops again. But now it's moving to the right, and then it rises again. So basically it forms the letter N. And in nature it's at. So the sine wave is at U, and then it's followed by the letter Ra. It's not an R, it's a Ra, so there's a reference to the lion. But it's the sine wave at your E, energy. It's trying to emit something from you, not the negative judgment, but just the observation. Now, this bigger picture is not framed. It's not a material painting like on canvas that would then go into a frame. It's a living picture that is animated, it's moving, it's constantly changing. It goes through seasons, it goes through a series of 4, just as you have 4 bodies. But you're actually the Elohim and don't even know it. This is the funny thing about it. You'll know it when you feel it, because that's the only sense which is common sense, which you all experience individually. It's all in feeling. So if something feels uncomfortable, don't try and jump back to where you were. You're not making progress. go inward and examine where you're feeling it for a start. Where in the body are you feeling it? That's the first thing to identify. Why are you feeling that way is something you should be asking yourself as well. Is it something that's triggering you? And if it is something that's triggering you, why is it triggering you? And then, now you've been triggered, where is that going to lead? What are you going to do with that trigger emotion? Are you going to allow it to cause a mutiny on your vessel, your physical body, and take over control of the vessel? Or are you captain of the vessel and you have everything under control? There's such a thing often referred to as squaring the circle. Now, there's a micro and a macro to everything, and it's all about duality, it's all about reflection. So what if I was to tell you that it's actually circling the square? Now, what is in that square? It's a little black cube. What you put into it is up to you. So if you're continuously recalling the past, therefore you are doing a mind seance. You're bringing something back from the past, therefore you're keeping it alive, or you're resurrecting it. You're trying to resurrect the dead. It goes in that black box and dissolves, because that black box, it's a metaphysical one, but it can get heavy. The more you put into it, the more you don't let go of. The more you're carrying, the more baggage you've got to cart round with you. It's a saying not about being light, and that is in the sense of not being heavy. Heavy is associated with darkness, with the more negative aspects. Whereas light implies, it doesn't weigh a lot, it's easily transportable. It's shall we say, your black box of your craft, your vessel. And it's a good idea to keep things in order, but keep that box sealed. That's one thing that should be sealed. Acknowledge that it's there, but it's your tartary in which you put your devil. The thing that would turn one of his cells black, if you imagine cells as being little circles, like little air bubbles, and they're all white, but then one of them reacts to a thought in the mind from one of the 12 cranial nerves. That's the Judas that sells out, so that cell turns out and goes from white to black. Now you've got a little devil, because just like this fallen angel, this devil, it has a following. So before long, that one cell that's gone black, that's gone dead, has become many, and it will manifest into a physical form as maybe a rash on the skin, maybe something more serious, maybe cancer, who knows. If the conditions are right, the dis-ease will inhabit, because you've created it from your own thought. So it's important to get these thoughts in check, and then know where those thoughts are coming from. Is it your lower self that's trying to cause a disturbance, or is it your higher self that's guiding you? It must be clear inside as to which it is. The little flash there was because there's a notification came up. That's probably why I've just realised is why there is no fire showing on the screen, because I've got the camera turned round and we're sitting in darkness apart from the glow of the fire. It's an interesting thing if you think about it with fire. If you light it and it doesn't quite take, you blow on it, you put oxygen, you breathe life into the fire. Whereas in the beginning it was breathing the fire into man. The spark of God. I mean, for what I've said and what you'll hear on the video when it eventually uploads, which would be, I call it Revelation 13 because it's 12 plus 1, which is highly significant anyway. And what I proclaim in that will sound hugely egoic, but it's not coming from a place of ego, it's coming from the place of self-acknowledgement. It is coming from a place from the deepest, darkest core within this physical being. That doesn't mean I'm special in any shape or form. What it actually means is 6 of the seals have broken inside this being. I know exactly who I am, I know exactly what I'm capable of, and I know exactly what my purpose is for being here. And that is to usher in this Jupiter impulse, or Venus impulse, or both, or perhaps none of the above. But how are we going to know unless we do it? So to usher in, look at the word us, her. So the us is collectively us. The her is her story as opposed to his story. It's about a balance. Now, being a realm of duality with regards to the blood, Rh positive. If you have a lot more positive in the internal sense, in the external sense, you will see a lot more negative. So what you'll find is that you'll have a balancing out of positive and negative blood. Now, that is not to say that negative blood is any more special. There is no one blood that is divine and the rest are inferior. Because there is only one that created everything, so even what you would perceive as evil is also created from a source. You'll notice on videos I've never talked about things like the Bhagavad Gita. I've never talked greatly in depth about many things because I wouldn't be able to quote sources. I'm not that familiar with them by the labels and the names. But the irony is there is only really one source. It's just individualized and expressed through various individuals, but credit where it is due, and it's an acknowledgement that something that I am part of, as much as you are part of, has filtered through that one individual to be said at the right time. But it's not a tribute or a tribulation, it's a distribute. You distribute. It's not accolades. It's a sharing of knowledge, it's a sharing of wisdom. It's all designed to help you realize that you're your own gatekeeper. The fiery angel that is barring the gates to heaven is something inside you. You can walk into heaven, the gates will open for you. It's just like some sort of secret society, occult group. You've got to know the right sequences. Well, in this metaphysical sense, it's not even about losing fear, it's about cubing the fear, containing it, acknowledging that that's a part of your individual makeup, but beyond that, the spirit, the eternal spirit, the Christ consciousness that is a seed that's planted inside you, which only requires the fertile soil in which to grow. Think of it like the experiment with the jars with the rice. The intention with the word love goes into the one jar, and far more negative intention goes into the other jar, and you can see the physical results of that. That's exactly what happens with the cells in the body. If one cell goes out, it goes like that negative jar of rice. So the key is love. It starts with an L because it's an Elohim. It's still source, but just like in the business world, you'll have a president of an organisation, and then you'll have various grades that seem to splinter out, but it's just one cell, it's one source that's in many aspects. That's why it's omnipresent. It's in all the oxygen, it's in every cell, it's in everything. You can't see it, you can't touch it, it's everywhere, and yet it's nowhere. But it comes down to, if you can't see God in everything, then you can't see God at all. It's whether you can just see through that veil, remove that mist of the mystery, and then you're left with a story which should stir your eye, your third eye, so you really see with the true sight. Again, it's nothing to do with this physical external realm. That's just a reflection and expresses a duality, just like the yin and the yang. The little white circle is surrounded by black. The little black circle is surrounded by white. Had it been the other way round, and you'd have the white circle within the white section, how would you know there was even a circle there? You wouldn't be able to see it. So the light shines greatest in the darkness, and with the spiritual eye, what becomes revealed, just like when you look at the night sky, the stars that shine brightest and biggest are the ones you're going to see first. Well, now you come back into daylight, which is actually just illumination. It's not even light. It's light that creates the illumination for which you see. But in the metaphorical sense, you're all like candles. You're like candle flames. Distinguishable and yet not. But it's encased. That flame is encased in a human shell, which is finite. It's just, can that light be made a little bit brighter and radiate out a bit more? That's all it is, just a little bit of fine tuning. But no one can do it for you. You've got to do it for yourself. You've got to break those 6 seals, which will lead towards breaking the 7th seal. Now, it's entirely up to you whether you want to come on this journey and see in this Jupiter or Venus impulse, or both, or none of the above. I would recommend that would be a good path to take. But you have free will, it's entirely up to you, but you are very welcome to come along if you so wish. I hope that you will. But the will is up to you. You see, whatever I'm saying through this being, the voice you're decoding and hearing as words, sound vibrations, equally applies to you. You create the world around you. You've heard of the flower of life, the circle of life. You all have a circle of life around you. You are in a realm of something called life. You're part of the picture. It's a living, animated picture with spirit. But you can, it's all art, it's subjective. You can focus on a little detail in it and you say, I don't like that. It's entirely up to you. It's perfectly fine. But maybe you just need to stand back and see the bigger picture and see how big the picture actually is and how it constantly changes. And you notice there's no corners, there's no seam, there's no edge that you can even see. That must surely tell you something as well. Right, so we'll put this video out. This is nearly runs 20 minutes, but it will have less data because of very little visual on this one, because I'm coming from a place and talking from a place from the unseen, so why would there need to be a picture? You are perfectly capable of using your imagination and creating pictures or allowing pictures to come into your mind's eye. So I'm going to say love to you all, and do please consider this open invitation to see this Jupiter or Venus or none of the above or both impulse come into this reality, as it were, or to transmute and become this new reality, this new age. Or you can stay with old Earth and go where that goes. It's your free will, it's entirely up to you what you do. But I'd like to see you on the other side. I'd like to see you in the new age. Saying about Jesus is with you to the end of the age. Well, what about the unspoken part of that? So I would say, will I see you in the new age? And will you see me? That is a question to which only you know the answer.